think there's one other thing we just need to just flip back to. I know we're going all over the place at the moment, but Tucker's phone was found in his hand, heavily blood-stained. It was examined by DC Miller at Essex Police. He found it was too blood-stained to power up. It was not examined until the CCR arranged for it to be done around 2010 by Dr. Luck. The important point to say about Tucker's phone, our understanding is it was an analogue phone, and it would not show any calls received that were answered on the billing. So if someone rung Tucker's phone, so we're going back to this thing, oh, no one made a phone call to Tucker or Tate after.
It wouldn't show anyone.
It wouldn't show.
Well, Anne-Marie pointed that out.
Yeah, yeah. So that's important to say. So that's important. And I think we just very quick. I think we need to just cover one of the most important factors, and you know it better than anybody, is the call in Suffolk. The
1712 call.
1712 call. If you just explain the 17, this is one of the most. If this is correct, it's absolutely right. This absolutely blows Darren Nichols' entire account out of the water.
Just to explain, I've spent a long time doing the timeline, the key times, and looking at the cell site, looking at the telephone calls, and looking at Nichols' account, and also looking at the defence's case as to where they were, because I've produced an exhibit, forget which number it was, I'm up to 36, so it's one of them, but between where were they, what was happening between 5 and 7. So when you look at what's happening between 5 and 7 p.m. on the 6th of December, the first thing that pings up for me is that at 1712, you've got Jack Woombs calling Michael Steele, and his cell site pings off the Sudbury mast. In his alibi, he says he was up in that area. I mean, I don't know where I've got the name Willamere from. It might have been...
Willamere, it was very near Willamere Caravan Park.
Yeah, that's where I think, looking back in time, because I put it in my report to say it was Willamere, but he said in his evidence he was up there when he gave his evidence, that was his alibi. So at 1712, you've got Jack Woombs' mobile phone pinging off the Sudbury BBC mast, and the mast is half a mile away from Willamere. And it's also important to understand which antenna it was coming off, and it was the one pointing south towards Marks Tay. And it's 12.4 miles between the mast and Marks Tay. Darren Nichols' evidence is that the meet was between Michael Steele and him at Marks Tay at 5 o'clock. Initially it was 6, but it gets to 5. So let's stick with what the jury heard, 5 o'clock. At 12 minutes past 5, my question is, where was Jack Woombs to have made the call to Michael Steele? And if you look at all the other cell site evidence in this case, they're all within a mile. So, if you look at the 1803, 1809 called Childersich, the Wickford one, 1844, they're all within a mile. So my fairness to the defence and the Crown should have accepted that they were within a mile of Sudbury mast, and that's what he says. The trouble with the defence is that they didn't have a witness to say that from where Jack Woombs said he was about the digger. So there was no, because he was always there, so they couldn't remember specifically if on the 6th of December he was there that afternoon. So here we are, we've now got them at Marks Tay according to Nichols' evidence. There's no evidence from any witness, any CCTV, anybody to say that they saw this meet taking place. The next meet is at the halfway house on the 127, which is nearly an hour away in the direction of the M25, down the 12, down the 128 into the car park. And the two calls that are made from there are at 1803 and 1809, where Michael Steele allegedly, well, he does ring Jack Woombs, and the Crown's case is that's what took place. Steele says in his evidence that he was near Bullpen, and the cell site was Childersich, which was over the hill, Jury Hill. Yeah, and believe it or not, that's what the hill is called. I've been there, I've seen it. I've been to the mast and I've been to car park, so I've physically given my eyes a treat to understand what David Bristow said about Julie Hill being in the way. So here we have 1712, 1803 and 1809. It just couldn't have happened.
Can't make it.
Can't make it.
Just to summarise that, 1712, Jack Womes is...
In his alibi.
In his alibi, Jack Womes is saying he's gone to Suffolk to pick up
a JCB digger.
A digger, yeah? He's got a trailer on the back.
Yes,
right?
That's what he said.
Yeah. He makes a phone call that is categorically evidenced going through the BBC mast
at Sudbury.
At 1712 in Sudbury.
Correct.
Okay. And yet, Darren Nichols, in his evidence at trial, that the jury believe that Essex Police put forward, say that he is actually, Jack Womes is in Marks Tay
just after 5.
12 minutes earlier than that. So he's meant to physically be in two locations, 14.8 miles apart, at exactly the same time.
Yeah, because Nichols says it still turned up first, and then minutes later, Jack Womes turned up. So 5 o'clock, 2 minutes, 3 minutes past.
Yeah.
And when you look at the timeline, yes, you could have, if you'd left at 8, 5:30, 5:35, you couldn't have got to the halfway house in time.
The reality is the timeline don't fit, but the most important bit there is Jack Womes can't be in two places at one time, and it wasn't till, I mean, the defence missed this, if I remember right.
It got mentioned,
but it didn't get they didn't realise the significance of it.
And not only that, David Bristow was never asked to give an opinion, because I've read his reports.
But that's what I'm saying, they didn't realise the significance.
Yes, they concentrated on Michael Steele's alibi and his the petrol receipt and that backfired. Yeah. So when you look at the concentration from the defence, it was if we can prove that Michael Steele was at Ardley at 1 minute past 5, which is 18 minutes down the road, less than that. Then
looking at the timeline, bear in mind it was inclement weather, it was snowing, etc., and he's pulling a trailer. I think we worked out the minimum period of time he could have got from Sudbury to Marks Tay was something like 21 minimum on a decent day, 21 minutes.
Yeah.
And so that puts the whole timeline back by 21 minutes. We already worked it out that you couldn't have got, following the timeline, you couldn't have got there at the right time. If you put another 20 minutes on it, 21 minutes on it, it's impossible. Darren Nichols' version of events is impossible.
You've also got to be realistic and understand, because it's all so imprecise, and that's what ACPOL gave advice to all the chief constables when you were going to be using mobile phone evidence in 1995. Could Jack Womes have been closer to Marks Tay at 12 minutes past 5, and then we believed the case. And sadly, that has never been tested, because David Bristow, if he'd been asked, would have been able to have done what he did down the lane, is check with the phone if you could have got a signal and driven towards the mast from Marks Tay. Simple as that. It's not difficult.
No, and you've got this whole concern around the 5 o'clock meet at Marks Tay, the drive down, and your two phone calls. David Bristow says those phone calls couldn't have put Jack Womes at the halfway house because of Drury Hill. That it's more likely that Michael Steele was where he says he was in Balford collecting a trailer.
What is a common denominator, because I use the expression the victim and suspect timeline, and we know that Essex Police took Darren Nichols out on most of the route, is at 18:30, 6:30, he said twice in an interview that was the time that the Range Rover turned up, went parked next to Michael Steele's car, Hilux, in the car park. So 18:30, when you then move that time on, and you've got Jack and Nichols going to the top of the lane, that's 18 minutes away. And then, we don't need to do it here now, but you've already heard from me on podcast that the whole thing just does not stack up. Yeah. I hope people understand that this is, and I've just not done, we've driven it, we've done lots of work in it. Somebody just needs to come and listen to me and explain it on graphics. I've had a help from a guy that I won't name right now, but he had a better understanding of all the intricacies of mobile phones, etc., and cell site. And David Bristol, pro bono the same as me, has already said it himself, and he's a prosecution witness.
But the prosecution will say
Yeah.
that you know, their get out of jail card with that is that the telephone evidence has been tested many times and on
It's the
appeal.
first case ever.
They're saying that it's been tested on appeal
I know.
and it's been dismissed out of hand, so we're all
Yeah,
right.
but when you-
what have they been given?
I know. But when you look at the appeal courts, when they raised the cell site, they said that the jury had the decision to make, to understand or accept the Crown's case, or understand and accept the defence case. But there was, you know, I don't think there was graphics showing what Nichols did that day.
No.
And when you look, where did he eat? Where did he go to the toilet? He must have been captured on CCTV in many places. The camera's up there,
Correct.
So you know, all that is so infuriating that it just wasn't done.
You still get, you know, and it's always raised on social media about the whole timeline, what happened. You know, if Jack Womes did collect the VW, what happened afterwards? You know, where did they go? What, you know, according to Nichols, he went to a pub, didn't he? Now, how did he get?
No. Jack Womes. Yeah, Jack. Oh, you're talking about. Yeah, you're talking about where Nichols went.
Yeah.
And that doesn't stack up either.
No.
Because he's on the phone to his wife, and he couldn't have got there in time because they went down to Rayleigh, and you don't go around the world, to kill 3 people when you live there. Yeah, it goes all the way around almost in a huge circle. The reason they're going round a huge circle is that's where the cell site puts in.
Yeah, Hungry Horse you're talking about.
Yes, the Hungry Horse. But there's not a single witness, and we've been there at the time, saying 2 people, people standing there changing the clothes.
And again, I know we're out of context.
We're getting annoyed here, aren't we?
I know, but he takes out of context. You know, the whole Hungry Horse thing.
Yeah.
You know, according to Nichols, you know, Pat Tate intends to kill Michael Steele. Michael Steele allegedly knows that, which is why he wants to then kill Pat Tate. And yet he meets 3 very dangerous criminals at the Hungry Horse. You know, one of whom he knows wants to kill him, and he gets in the back of their car, you know, to go off, and you know, allegedly he's wearing a boiler suit, Wellington boots, and at some stage has plastic gloves on, and he's carrying a bag that must have a shot.
The Hungry Horse is on a busy road, junction next to a major train terminal nearly.
It's almost laughable.
It's ridiculous.
It is
not
laughable.
That, David, is that in the back of the Range Rover you've got them shoe impressions in the carpet belonging to Tate, and if Steele's next to him, why isn't his?
Well,
any shoe mark in the back, and you can't get in there.
No, I mean, and that flips back to when I examined the Range Rover with Angela Gallup and Phil Boyce. You know, the reality of it is, I've got Range Rover. You know, they're big cars, but when you try to get in the back of that Range Rover, there's no room. And someone the size of Pat Tate, who would have been sitting in the middle with his legs astride the centre console part,
as he was.
Mick Steele was a big bloke then. You just wouldn't get in, and you know, you then go back to this whole issue around the forensics. There are no hairs, there's no fingerprints, there's no DNA. Nothing. There is bugger all that puts Michael Steele into that Range Rover at the time, and there would be, you know, as
Lockhart's principle, isn't it?
You leave traces. There would be traces, and there aren't. That's the point. There aren't.